Hello everyone, this is Fabio and welcome back to a new video, and this is a very special one for a couple of reasons. First of all, slightly different formats. As you can see, I'm actually, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm actually standing instead of sitting, which, why not? Let's change and spice things up here, since I've been doing the same videos for all those years, and that is actually the real reason behind this, but we'll talk about that in a second. Also, second big thing I like is with this shot you can see a little more of my background. It's not just the wall of games, but also you can see some books and more books. And also another thing that I have been collecting throughout the years that I've never mentioned, that's you can see above, beer bottles. I've been collecting them for years. In fact, let me just, if you give me a second, show it to you. As you can see, there are a lot of beer bottles over there as well. So something that I've been doing since high school, basically. And yes, I drank all of those throughout the years, of course. And but we're not here to talk about beers, even though that's always a good source of conversation. But actually, as I've hinted before, say like I've been doing videos in the same way for a long time. Specifically, I realized that today, the 25th of November 2022, it's the 10 years anniversary of my channel. What has happened? To quote Top Gun Maverick, it's been a minute, hey Mov? Like, I started to do this YouTube things, as I said, 10 years ago, just for shits and gigs, basically. I never expected to keep going for all these years, especially considering my channel is very small and never like took off maybe as I wanted, but that's beside the point. I'm still very happy. I love my little stupid channel, primarily because it allowed me to get in contact and even meet some of you amazing people that now I can call friends, and that it's very, very awesome and super special. Like, I'm in contact with them every day via Discord and everything, and I will always be grateful to my channel for that. It's been a ride. I still enjoy doing video, even though I don't do them as often, simply because I don't have the time. But occasionally we'll drop one, and it's always fun. But because it's the 10th year anniversary, which is always weird, it's so weird to say that, of this channel, I've decided that the best way to celebrate it will be by doing the big video. You know what I'm talking about, the big one, the one I haven't done yet. That is my top 10 favorite games of all time. Yes, we're finally doing that. Just a few words. I'm not going to add the obvious like honorable mentions and all of that, because otherwise it will not be a top 10. Let's be serious for once. Also, this list is not written in stone. This is a list that can change every day depending on the games I play. As I was writing it, it kind of came natural to me, and at the end of the day, I was very happy with it. So hopefully, you will find it interesting. And to be honest, there aren't big surprises here. As I said, I wrote this in 5 minutes, basically. So if you know something about me, you will most likely anticipate some entries. But again, it feels like the right video to do. So without further ado, let's start with my top 10 games of all time, as in 25th of November 2022. Number 10. We're going to start with a draw, because why not? But in all seriousness, it's simply the fact that I really cannot for the life of me, deciding which one is my favorite survival horror at the end of the day. I'm a huge fan of both this game, and it's more of a matter how silly do I feel. So that's kind of the decisive factor, because these games are fundamentally the same thing in a way. They're very, very similar. So how can I make the decision between Resident Evil 3 and Dino Crisis 1? I absolutely love both of this game. Resident Evil 3 It's my personal favorite in the series. It's kind of the last excellent one, in my opinion, simply because, I mean, I like the series like from 4 included onwards, but I think the best part of the Resident Evil games actually was the Raccoon City trilogy. Since and including 4, the series had gone really stupid, in my opinion. And 7 and 8, I haven't played them yet, but they really feel like different thing with the Resident Evil title attached to it. But, as I said, I haven't played them yet, so we'll see. 3 simply completed, in a way, the Raccoon City story, and all of it involving the characters from 1 and 2, basically. It features my favorite character from the series, Jill Valentine, which is also one of my favorite characters of all time. She's just so iconic. Even more in this game compared to the first one. And love everything about it. I absolutely love Nemesis. It's one of the best things Capcom ever did to this series. And if you think about it, the idea of Nemesis, it actually, in my opinion, was inspired by the T-Rex in Dino Crisis. So the idea of this unstoppable enemy chasing you and you cannot do much about it, just need to escape. As I said, the T-Rex did it first, and you can argue maybe that in Resident Evil 2 there was the first sort of idea with Mr. X, though nothing on the level of Dino Crisis and Nemesis, because I think Mr. X is there for 2 seconds, basically. Dino Crisis, I absolutely love this game. I don't understand why Capcom has not made a remake of this yet, other than the fact that they're stupid and they just want to keep milking dry their cash cow Resident Evil or Street Fighter, when Dino Crisis, it's a potential goldmine for them, especially well-made remakes such as the Resident Evil ones. And speaking of, a special mention goes to the Resident Evil 3 remake on PS4. I absolutely loved every second of it. Is it a bit different? Yes, and I love every second of its differences. Mainly, I would say, regardless of silly, stupid arguments with Jill's outfit and sexiness, like, fuck cares about that. But I would say the main difference was kind of the introduction of Nemesis, because in the original, Nemesis was introduced a bit later, like, I don't know, half an hour into the game, with a bit of build-up, and that was great. In the remake, Nemesis, it's like attacks you straight from the beginning and head on, so it's there from the first moment. And that is great. I love both approaches, I don't mind. Also, the game looks gorgeous, it plays wonderfully, so why hasn't Capcom made a remake of Dino Crisis like this? It would be amazing, it would sell like crazy, in my opinion. I think Dino Crisis has a devoted and very passionate fan base. Look at this stupid face here, for example. So yeah, at number 10, as I said, it's funny to start with a draw, but I honestly cannot choose between these 2 games. So Dino Crisis 1 and Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, including the remake. Number 9, we're going retro for a moment, as we have Super Castlevania 4, my favorite Castlevania game, my favorite side-scroll action game, and one of my favorite games from this specific generation. I love this game. The special thing about it is that I can play it every day, basically. I can turn on my Super Nintendo, put Super 4, and have a blast for half an hour, or play the whole thing through. I'm super familiar with it. I know this game inside out, and I don't mind. It's that good. Because I always have a soft spot in my heart for these old school Castlevania games. Before the introduction of the Metroidvania gameplay style, which to me, in a way, although I love it, will always be in second place to the classic. Primarily because I feel that the old school one offers it's more challenging, and it gives you a better gameplay experience at the end of the day for a Castlevania game. As I said, I'm not taking anything away from the Metroidvania ones. I love those, like Symphony of the Night. My personal favorite is Order of Ecclesia, for example, on the DS. But the thing that I love about the old Castlevania games. So the first 3 on the NES, Super 4 on the Super Nintendo, Bloodline on Genesis is fantastic. Rondo of Blood, of course. All of those. It's the fact that you do not rely on tricks to beat the game. You cannot grind. You cannot find more powerful weapons. It's all about your skills. It's all about your reflexes. It's all about your ability with the whip and all of that. And I love that. Also, the curious thing about it is like 4, it's actually not as difficult as other Castlevania games. Considering that it's a remake basically of the first one, I would say it's a much easier version because the first Castlevania game, it's brutally difficult. Super 4, not so much. It's not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's nowhere near as difficult as the first one. Like the first one, especially from the Frankenstein monster onward, my god, it gets brutal. Like with Super 4, I think the difficulty was much more balanced throughout the entire game. It's absolutely gorgeous to look at on the Super Nintendo. The soundtrack, it's legendary. One of the most enduring to me from the Super Nintendo generation, especially like the Dance of the Holy Man, also known as the theme of Simon Belmont, and so many other themes throughout the entire game. From beginning to end, an absolute timeless masterpiece, one of the best representative of this series and of its genre. Super Castlevania 4 deserves to be at number 9 in my list. Number 8, we're gonna move to the PS2. And more specifically to, at the time of recording, my favorite game on that console, which is Shadow Hearts Covenant, also known as Shadow Hearts 2. I absolutely love the rest of the series since I finally managed to play and finished the 3rd game this year, which it was a bit sad to think that I now have no Shadow Hearts left to play. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm very happy that I was able to actually enjoy all 3 games. But in my opinion, the second one, it's absolutely the pinnacle of the series. The first one, it's great, but I think that Covenant perfected basically everything that the first one did, with primarily one exception, I would say, and this is a small detail, but it's an important one in my opinion, because that would be the final boss of the game. Like, there's no way the boss in Covenant can compete with the one from the first game. As I said, that's just a detail. Though it makes sense, like everything, like the final battle, who the final boss is in the game. Even though I would have preferred Nikolai, just me. But as I say, it makes sense. Like the type of battle, what's at stake, and who the final boss is. I mean, it's great stuff. Covenant concludes the story, which was technically you could say it started with Kudelka, but primarily the story from 1. It's the end of Yuri's journey, and it's actually a very good and happy ending. I like it very much. But where do we even start with the gloriousness that is Shadow Hearts Covenant? I love the combat system. It's one of my favorite iterations of the turn-based battle system. Of course, we know the first game introduced the Judgment Ring system, which it's great. The sequel perfected it, and it's so much fun playing this game. You're always looking forward to fight in Covenant, primarily because it's so fun. It's amazing. You can do combos. The timing in order to deal with those critical hits must be perfect, so you can customize your Judgment Ring, but then you can have combo magic and all of that. It's just such a good system that I completely fell in love with it already by the first game, but Covenant just made it even better. And even like from the new world, as like nothing, it didn't disappoint. The same fantastic combat system. Also, I mean, Covenant has such an amazing, stupid story. Stupid in just sense like it's a bit silly, even though I really enjoyed it. But just because when it started to deal with alternative history, I lost my shit with this game. I was smiling all the time, especially the part of the game in Russia when you have to prevent an entire coup um, organized by Rasputin to kill the Tsar. It's so, I love it. I loved it so much. But in reality, as I said, it's more like a continuation of the first game. So there are all the repercussions of the actions of Simon Bacon and all of that. Really, really good stuff. Plus, this game has the best cast of character of the entire series, hands down. It has a great version of Yuri, Karin, the girl on the cover. It's a fantastic character. For her ending, like, the developers decided to go a bit head-scratching, in my opinion, but kind of makes sense in a weird way. Then, I don't know, like, I don't remember the name of the White Wolf. Maybe it's Bianca, simply. I cannot remember it now. There's Geppetto, Anastasia Romanov, of course, and oh my god, it's so much fun. I absolutely love this game. Truly, to me, as I said, the peak of the Shadow Hearts series. Maybe it doesn't have the same level of survival horror, not survival horror, sorry, it's the Lovecraftian elements of horror, which it's okay, because as I say, the alternative history story was so much fun that I didn't mind the lack of horror. It's not that the first one, it's a horror game, it's more, as I said, like, there's this Lovecraftian space horror at one point, and the very weird enemies. In Covenant, there is something of that, but not so much, and it's completely gone by the third game. So if you're looking for like the horror theme and all of that, the first one is the one you should play. Also, the Covenant has really good graphics for a PS2 game, and considering that this is not a AAA game in terms of budget and everything, but it's a really well-crafted game on the technical side of the argument. And a great music, really, really good soundtrack, and as I said, it's just a joy to play it. I love this from beginning to end, and at the moment, it's my favorite PS2 game. So at number 8, Shadow Hearts Covenant. Number 7, it's a game that unfortunately I cannot show you because it's in London, and that is Fire Emblem Awakening on the 3DS. My favorite strategy RPG. And, of course, my favorite Fire Emblem game still. I mean, I haven't played a Fire Emblem game that, at the moment, is just as special as Awakening. It's another case of, to me, like, the perfect game, as I enjoyed everything about this. I love the story, even though it's kind of simple in a way. It's just a sort of time travel, avoiding the upcoming doom kind of story, but I like those. And the most important part, of course, like in every important game and stories, it's the characters. Such a great and vast cast of characters, from Chrom, Lucina, the main character, like the silent protagonist, and all the many children, especially, and others that you can recruit throughout the games. But of course, where this game truly shined, once again, it's the gameplay. It perfected the Fire Emblem formula so much that, in my opinion, kind of broke it. Because as I mentioned on a previous occasion, now I have a really difficult time going back to older Fire Emblem games, because the only thing I can think while I'm playing them is, oh my god, I want this game to be more like Awakening. Why can't it have the Awakening combat system? Even though they're the same, it's like strategy RPG with the rock, paper, scissors system, Awakening perfected it so much that, as I said, it's hard for me. And I love all Fire Emblem games, but I remember I played the first one on GBA, Blazing Blade, I think it's the subtitle, and I liked it. But after a while, I had to stop because I really, oh my god, what? I need a remake with the Awakening combat system, basically. Also, the game looks absolutely glorious on the 3DS. It's kind of the game that made me buy the 3DS, and the first one I played and beat on that console. The music, it's absolutely timeless. There are some fantastic themes on that game. Some of them left me completely like speechless, and like I had to pause the battle just to listen to the music. And The best example of that was the one, I think it was called like You Should Never Speak Her Name Again or something like that, with that piano theme. Really, like, I had goosebumps while listening to it. Absolutely great. So, as I said, to me, this is still the best Fire Emblem game. It's my favorite strategy RPG. And it's something like, considering that I spent more than 100 hours with it, it really well deserves to be in my top 10. At number 6, we have another game on the 3DS that I cannot show you, same reasons before, and I believe it's my current favorite 3DS game, if I remember my 3DS list video correctly, that it's Persona Q2. Wow, what a game. One of the big reasons why I love this game so much is that it's responsible for me finally and truly enjoying the SMT/Persona formula. Yes, I tend to put both series together under the same umbrella. I know they're not technically the same thing. To me, they are. I don't give a shit. I'm not purist enough of a fan to properly separate the two. As I said, I don't care. In any case, up until I played Persona 4 Gold and before Q2, I wasn't a fan of SMT and Persona. For reasons that I understood only by playing Persona games. And that was not really, for example, the fusions, which is something typical that some players don't enjoy in these games. It was rather the fact that I have to fuse demons, Persona, call them whatever you like. Because it was the idea, I like this demon or Persona, so I will keep it. No, you have to keep fusing to have better demons, more powerful Personas and all of that. I didn't really get that the first time I played one of these games, and I found it annoying. Like, why do you want to force me? In a way, like, you don't have to do it, but you're only making things harder on you. Things started to change when I played Persona 4 Golden, and I truly surpassed this block with Persona Q2, which at the moment is my favorite Persona game. As I say, still at time of recording, because right now I'm currently playing Persona 5 Royal, so we'll see. Maybe we'll have a new number 1. Persona Q2 also has the very special feeling of, like, it really feels like a love letter to fans of Persona 3, 4, and 5, considering that you can play as characters from all of these games. So you have a gigantic cast of these timeless and fantastic characters from 3, 4, 5, which are all great. I spent more than 80 hours with this. I wanted to play as much as possible. And finally, I fell in love with this, which was a big win. Being able to overcome this mental block that I had on SMT and Persona was really, really good. And now since then I also play Persona 3 Portable. I'm playing Persona 5 Royal now, as I said. I'm absolutely a fan of Persona, and I also want to push my passion for this game more into SMT proper, so we'll see what happened there. But at number 6, absolutely, Persona Q2. One of my favorite JRPG experiences of the past few years, basically. I love this game so much. Love the story, absolutely love the character, I love the cinematic setting, I love the fun of these games, even though the story gets really, really dark at times. I still remember, for example, the sci-fi movie level. That was really dark. Or the final one, all getting like with bullying and acceptance by society, blending with society, all really important and serious themes, but dealt with this like super deformed characters, having fun and all of that. Such a masterpiece of a JRPG that all of you must play. And as I said, well deserving of being in my top 10. Alright, it's time for the top 5, so we're getting even more serious now. Number 5, we're having, again, at the time of recording, my personal favorite Metroidvania game, and that is, without a doubt, Ori and the Will of the Wisps on the Nintendo Switch. played this year, and oh my god, I love this game. I also absolutely love, like, Blind Forest, of course. Loved it so much. But to me, this has that single element, like, it added something more to what to an already perfect game, basically. And that is combat. Combat in the first Ori, it's really secondary. There's not much of it, and in this they added so much of it, and it's so good. It's super fluid, and I loved this game from beginning to end. I was completely mesmerized while playing it because, of course, just like the first one, the game looks absolutely gorgeous. Even though I played it on the Switch, the music, it's phenomenal. And as I said, gameplay-wise, this game is perfection as a Metroidvania game. I loved it from the first second, like from Blind Forest, and then all that was great about it was just as good in Will-O-The-Wisps, plus a fantastic combat system. That's the recipe for my favorite Metroidvania game. I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed it. It's really hard, like, to find a game as refined as this. I mean, it's absolute perfection in my opinion. There are still a lot of Metroidvania games I need to play, but it would be super difficult to dethrone Will-O-The-Wisps, so it's absolutely a masterpiece. But not much to add because it's just that good of a game. Let's move to number 4. I have to have a representative for my current favorite RPG series, which is The Legend of Heroes, and at the moment again, my current favorite game from this beast of a series, Trails in the Sky the Third. Here you can see the Japanese PSP copy of it that I imported ages ago for next to nothing. Why do I love this game so much? And considering that for the most part the fandom actually ignored this game, it says, oh, you can skip it, it's not important, it's not very good. I disagree completely with both statements. This is a very important game actually, because it's where the world building of the Trails series truly begins. Trails in the Sky first and second chapter are fantastic games, obviously. However, when compared and put it together with the vast Kiseki stories, they're actually really compact. Their main purpose is to tell the story of Estelle and Joshua. That's the main goal of those games, and they complete it very well. As I said, those are amazing games. Like, you have the introduction of Ouroboros, and probably the best incarnation of an Ouroboros team. You have unforgettable characters, even though some of them will be forgotten in the Kiseki stories, which is unfortunate, because I have a soft spot for characters from Liberals, especially some of them should have fit so well in future games, but that's a different story. And another thing that it needs to be highlighted from the third, it's of course Kevin, the protagonist of this game, who already made its appearances in first and second chapter. It's an important character in this trilogy, but this is his game. And by the time you finish with this, you cannot think that, like, Kevin is the best character of this entire series. Not only the best protagonist, as the best character overall. He has an amazing development. It has such a dark, sad story. And by the end of this, the third is also, like, because it's his game, there is this wonderful story and quest for redemption, which felt heartwarming by the end, with Kevin finally coming to terms with his past and the things that he has done and the people he has lost throughout the years. It's such a fantastic story. Also, I absolutely love the ending of this game. It's very, as I said, like, heartwarming, because it's the final goodbye from these characters that by this point you're super attached with. This is kind of their last big hurrah before the next chapter in this series, and most of them will be forgotten, unfortunately. Like, for example, I'm perplexed that we haven't seen Kevin in Cold Steel, but that's just me, I guess. It continues, for example, the chase, the cat and mouse between Estelle, Joshua, and Ren that will be resolved in Trails from Zero, as we know. I mean, so good. Like, gameplay-wise, it's kind of the same as the second chapter if you play that, so it's great. It's this hybrid turn-based strategy game with the quartz system, which will be improved, I think, in the Cold Steel games particularly. It can be very challenging. There are some really epic boss battles. You end up in the Hell version of this series, which is really cool and interesting to see. It makes sense considering the main characters are from the church of this world. But overall, a fantastic JRPG experience. As I said, it's a very important game because there are plenty of references to events that are that took place or are taking place in the world, so it feels much bigger than it actually is, especially when compared to first and second chapter. And as I said, like, to me, it's a very important game actually to play. It has plenty of character moments. I mean, to me, it's kind of the perfect Trails in the Sky game, and at the moment, still my favorite experience from a Trails game. I love the rest of the series very much. But in a way, to me, this is the crown jewel. I know I'm maybe alone on this, but I absolutely adore Trails in the Sky the Third. Phenomenal RPG and a fantastic chapter in this huge series. Top 3. Here we go. Getting more and more serious here. Number 3. At first, I couldn't believe that this game ended up being so high on the list, but thinking about it, it makes sense. Because at the end of the day, it's one of the best experiences I ever had as a gamer. And that is Mass Effect 3. Here you can see I own the Trilogy Edition, but we're talking about the third game. And while I can hear most Mass Effect fans crying that 2 is the best, and I can understand why. I absolutely love Mass Effect 2, of course. 3, it's truly the special one to me, because for a simple reason, it's the one with the best moments, or at least in my opinion, obviously. It's the one that had my favorite and most emotional moments in the entire trilogy. As I said, 2, it's fantastic. It's really when the series got from good to incredible. Like, the jump from 1 to 2, it's amazing. It's really impressive in all sense. Like, the first Mass Effect is good. It's really good. But 2 and 3 are on a different level completely. In all sense, like, technically, from technical sense, like graphics and everything, story, the characters, no comparison. The progression of the story. I love the Mass Effect 2's like suicide mission feeling. It's fantastic. The beginning of the game was shocking with, spoiler if you haven't played it, Shepard's death. Great stuff, like the final battle against the Collectors. It's an unforgettable game. I can understand completely why you might pick 2 as your favorite, but 3 was special. Such, like, first of all, it's the epic conclusion of this journey. I love conclusions and ending in my stories, because if you nail it, it's kind of the most important part of it. It's the resolution of so much, and a lot of people have problems with the ending per se of Mass Effect 3, which I don't really agree with. I was very happy with the synthesis ending that I had. And I haven't downloaded the alternative ending that BioWare released just to calm the fan base. But it's not really the last 10 minutes of the game. It's basically the whole game has this feeling of this is it. The just from the first moments, like the intro of the game, it's one of the most powerful I ever experienced in the last 20 years, basically, even more. Maybe it's the best prologue chapter in a game I ever played. Primarily with the Reapers invading Earth, it already gave the scale and the threat level of these things to the nth degree, basically. It's something like not even Commander Shepard could do anything against them. In fact, there is that scene at the beginning with the death of that children, which will torment Commander Shepard for the rest of the game, basically, throughout the nightmares and the visions, which is a great character thing that they did. Of course, it's also the resolution of so many things started in the first game. You have the end of the Geth-Quarian War, which is awesome. You have the resolution of the Genophage, which may be one of the greatest things in gaming history, basically. The sacrifice of Mordin, it's legendary and so emotional. Of course, it's also a resolution of the love stories that you started in the first and especially second game. Like in my case, my perfect playthrough, basically, it was with my female shepherd, romancing Garrus, who of course is the best character together with Tali in these entire games. And that story, that relationship felt so special, and to me was by far the best of the entire bunch. I mean, Mass Effect has amazing, unforgettable characters. But to me, and I think a lot of fans might agree, like if you don't, let me know why in the comments, the best and most special characters were Garrus and Tali. And a big part of this relationship being special is also the amazing voice acting. In particular, Jennifer Hale as Commander Shepard is legendary for a reason. I mean, that final event with Shepard telling Garrus, like, I wait for you at the bar or something, the way she said it's so emotional that it hit hard, that you felt the emotions there. And it, as I said, it moved it for something more than a simple, like, digital characters. It's like, wow, this is great stuff. Like the final battle on Earth is fantastic when you charge the Sovereign, I think, if I remember correctly. Massive Reaper in London and all of that. Like, it's such a fantastic final chapter in one of the best trilogies, sagas in gaming history. For this reason, Mass Effect well deserves to be very high on my list. It's, as I say, it's one of the most special gaming experience I ever had in my life. I played Mass Effect 1 3 times, played 2 5 times, and I finished 3 twice, both with my female Shepard. Eventually I would need to get back to Mass Effect 3 and finish with my male Shepard. Also to complete the romance with Tali, because I was never able to do that for some reason. Like, my first playthrough, like, female Shepard plus Garrus, second female Shepard plus Liara, and next I have to do my male Shepard and Tali, but I haven't had the chance to do it. But I wouldn't mind playing this another time because it's so good. But number 3, Mass Effect 3. What a game, what a series. It's a shame that probably we'll never have Mass Effect ever again because BioWare, EA, both of them screw up the series immensely. Never say never. I wouldn't mind a Andromeda trilogy, which will never happen, of course. Pathfinder trilogy, because Andromeda has so much potential, but the reaction to that was not ideal. That is unfortunate. That's because they ruined something special, I think. But the game is great. I mean, gameplay-wise, it's probably the best, actually. But Andromeda, it's not the point of this video, or what we're talking about. Number 2. Okay, here you might argue we're going a bit nostalgic, but in my opinion, there are good reasons for it. Number 2, we have one of the games that have been one of the foundations of my career and experience as a gamer. Like, I love games and RPG primarily because of this game, or this game had a big role in shaping my love for games, my love for storytelling in video games, and why I love RPGs so much, and that it's Legend of Dragoon. This is a monumental game, and one of the most important I ever played. Like, this is one of those that will always stay with me. It will always have a special, very special place in my heart. Primarily because I don't think I ever been so much involved, so much passionate with the game's story. Not even with the next entry on my list, I think. This, Legend of Dragoon, was truly, truly special. Because I never experienced anything like this. And never will again, I think. Like, even now, I love, as I say, I play Persona 5 Royal. I don't have the same level of attachment because I'm a different person, of course. I played this in the first year of high school or something like that. And it very dramatically, my life was not the same ever again. But it's kind of true in a way. I was flabbergasted by this game narrative. The cast of characters, the story. And some people have argued that this game has a really simple story. It's just good versus evil. That is just the beginning of the tip of the iceberg that is Legend of Dragoon. This is such a deep story. There is a huge amount of lore behind it. The religion, the history of this world. And the fact that drove me crazy back then is still driving me crazy. It's how those idiots at Sony completely missed the ball with this game. Legend of Dragoon could have become their version of Final Fantasy, in my opinion. Because from this, they could have made prequels, sequels, spin-offs. I mean, this could have been a potential massive series, and it never touched again. And that's one of the greatest, I think, JRPG tragedies that not many people talk about, because Final Fantasy somehow is still relevant today. As I said, I don't understand why, since the series has fallen in mediocrity for a long time. But to have such a huge alternative like Legend of Dragoon would have been amazing. To have like your traditional fantasy kind of thing. Because of course now, say alternatives, there are plenty. And much better, like Persona, Legend of Heroes, etc. But when I played Legend of Dragoon, I was like, this is truly, truly special. I knew it from the first moment. And it's not just for the story. I love the gameplay from this game. And it's a shame that, like, the closest thing to it, I would say, it's kind of Shadow Hearts, interesting enough, because I like those turn-based combat systems in which you have to press buttons. It's a bit more interactive than just attack and you see your character performing an attack. In this, you can perform combos, let's call it, even though it's not their name, the game. But it kind of is, so you have to press the X button at the exact right time to perform these powerful moves. At times the enemy might counterattack or try to stop you, so you have to press the circle button. I fell in love with it. It was so addicting, and I tried to max every character's combo. There's a lot of them. There's a reason why I've spent more than 100 hours with this game. Not only because it's huge, it's like for this, but also for gameplay reasons. I tried to find all the Stardust and everything. So this is a massive, massive game. But, and I think like a remake, I don't understand why we don't have a remake, but if they'll do, they'll probably ruin it, making like a stupid action RPG or something. Remove everything that made it special. So if that's what's going to happen, I don't even want a remake. I'll just replay this because this is a timeless masterpiece, in my opinion. The characters, I mean, I mentioned before I fell in love with the story, but I really fell in love with the characters. I love Dart, the main character, his story and relationship with Shana. My favorite character of all time is in this game, and that is Rose. My goodness, the story of Rose. It's kind of one of the reasons why you should play this game. It's so tragic. She's such a well-developed character from the beginning. The whole lore and mystery of the Black Monster, the resolution of that, her final sacrifice almost made me cry because I was so attached to her. When she stopped at the end and sacrificed herself to save the other guys, But she did it kind of with a smile on her face because now she has come to terms with her past. She finally been reunited with her love, Zieg, and together they stop Melbufrana. And as I said, like, sacrifice themselves. I was like, no, Rose, don't you dare! Oh my god! I mean, I was so attached to these characters. And at the end, like, the ending is so gorgeous and heartwarming that you see the two seagulls and then the two dragoon stones, the red and purple one of Rose and Zieg. I was like, oh, what a great ending. I mean, this was a once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience. And I played it not many times because, as you know, I don't replay games that often. I only play it twice, and only once to completion. I don't really need it to play a game 75 times to prove that it's one of my favorites. Because that game, that playthrough, it's one of the best I ever experienced in my life. And I will never forget it. I will never forget Legend of Dragoon. It's still one of the most important games I ever experienced, and well deserves number 2. It's a fucking tastic JRPG. Like, if you never played it, you've done yourself a disfavor, I think, because it's so good. Maybe by today's standards it's a bit outdated. I can understand that. That's why it would be great to have a good remake, but as I say, there's the risk of ruining what made it special, of course. But we'll see. Number 2, Legend of Dragoon, one of the most special games of my life, basically. What can be more than that? Well, if you know me, if you follow my channel, you already know the answer, but there's only one thing that can surpass Legend of Dragoon. It's primarily through impact that it had on me, but also, like, this game has everything that I love about Legend of Dragoon, and something more, in a way, because it's part, and it's the best representative of my favorite series of all time. That it's, no surprises for some, Breath of Fire 4. This is my favorite game of all time. It still is, it will always be, because the Breath of Fire series is special to me. I made an entire, like, 1 hour long video explaining why I love this series. And this is kind of the best representative. It took everything that 3 did, which was already amazing, and did it better, basically. Breath of Fire 3, it's kind of the first big JRPG I ever experienced and made me fall in love with the genre, and then playing a better version of it. It was just mesmerizing. I couldn't believe it was possible. I love everything about it. One of my favorite, not my favorite, cast of characters of all time. This game also features the best antagonist I've ever experienced in a game, and that it's Fou Lu. His part that you managed to play with him for a good chunk of the game. And seeing his perspective on the story was truly special. Especially looking at his progressive fall and how he progressively lose faith with regards to humanity and what led him to the decision like, they are beyond saving, I will kill all of them. It's so good and well done. Let's say it's not subtle or anything, but it's believable considering who and what Fou Lu is. And his relationship with Ryu, who's kind of like his other half. But also other characters which are absolutely timeless, from like this incarnation of Nina. And why she's not my favorite, because the one from 2 is kind of untouchable. She's great, like her relationship with her sister, with Cry, who's also another fantastic character. Then you have Shias, Ursula, Ershin. I mean, this is truly, again, another case of one-in-a-lifetime kind of game. And to think that it's from the same generation of gaming, it says a lot on how great and high the bar was during that era. Again, you might accuse me of a bit of nostalgia blinders here, but to be honest, I replayed a bit of it quite recently, and it holds up to me. It still looks gorgeous, even though it's a 22 years old game. I don't understand why Capcom has never touched Breath of Fire ever again, and I'm just not talking about Breath of Fire 6, because that doesn't exist in my universe. But remakes, just remake these games. There is a fan base. There is a demand for Breath of Fire. Not as much as back in the day when this series was very popular, actually. But if you push this game's engine as HD as you can, it would be gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But do we need more Breath of Fire by this point? I don't even know. I probably not. Let's not keep ruining what was super special at the time. But yes, absolutely a timeless masterpiece. I love everything about it. Like the combat system was fantastic. Again, one of my favorite iterations of the turn-based combat system. The fact that you could change party members on the go during battle was revolutionary at the time. And a whole generation before Final Fantasy X did it. You can do combos, you can like perform special attacks. There's the dragon transformation, of course, which is always a highlight in Breath of Fire games. A really emotional story, very dark at places, all about war and like the search for peace, and oh, it's so good. It's so good. And as I said, the whole part with Fo Lu, a fantastic cast of character, which I already said it. The music is really good. I mean, the main theme from Breath of Fire 4, it's one of my favorite of all time. That music, would stay with me for the rest of my life. And it's also part of what makes this whole experience so special. And there you have it. There you have it. These are my top 10 games of all time. Definitely let me know what you think. Any comments, just leave it down below. I will be more than happy to interact with you guys, like always. And yeah, I cannot believe it's been 10 years on YouTube, even though, yeah, as I said, the impact of my channel is very limited. I don't really care. Hopefully I will be here for 10 more years. You will not get rid of me that easily, I'm sorry. But thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much for sticking with me all this time. And I will see you soon, guys. Take care.